Good afternoon, college basketball fans. Today, we are going to have a college basketball news update talking about John Blackwell potentially going to Louisville after Shellstad and Badunga have committed. We are also going to be talking about somebody going to their fifth school in 5 years. Wonder who that could be. Lastly, we have March Madness expanding to 76 teams. What are my thoughts on it? What does it look like? Who would have gotten in last year? Some thoughts around that as well. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. First up, we have John Blackwell apparently going to Louisville after Shellstad and Badunga have committed. Here is what a text from somebody who has a connection to Louisville's athletic department says. I was told Flory and Shellstad are in. Should be done by Wednesday. That has already been done. Trying to lock everything in this weekend and get Flory to cancel his Duke visit. He has canceled his Duke visit and he committed. If those two are in, they are. Blackwell from Wisconsin said he's in. Now, that's not official all the way yet, but they are going to take the crew to Wisconsin to meet with him to seal the deal. Then a fourth piece would be Big from St. Mary's, from my homie with Athletic Connect. That is very interesting. I think the St. Mary's guy is either Mikey Lewis or Paulus Morauskas, but going to Wisconsin to meet with him to seal the deal. Blackwell apparently was down to Duke and Illinois a few days ago, and now that Louisville has spent an absolute bag on those two, on Shellstad and Badunga, Blackwell's involved now. Now, that being said, he is visiting UCLA tomorrow. So, this is not absolute lock like it says in the tweet. Blackwell still has to go through the recruiting process. Louisville still has to go through the recruiting process to get him. It is just a very tight connection that seems pretty interesting. And the crazy thing about it is Louisville already has spent like 8 or 9 million on Flory and Shellstad, and Blackwell is going to be another very expensive piece. Like we're talking probably another 4 million probably. So that's going to be 12, 13 million locked up on three guys basically. And it's interesting because Louisville was top preseason top 10 last year, and they kind of flopped a little bit. They were a 6 seed. They did end up beating South Florida, but I would say overall the season was a bit of a flop, partially due to Michael Brown's injury, but it wasn't entirely on that. Um, it's very interesting what Pat Kelsey's doing. Obviously, he can recruit. I do have questions still if he can win. That last year was his first tournament win, obviously. I do have questions on whether he could win because that roster last year was absolutely loaded. Now with Flory still has a little bit of developing to do. Um, yeah, still has a bit of developing to do, especially on offense. But I think Pat Kelsey can do that. Badunga's going to offer a great amount of defense to Louisville, which is something that they kind of struggled with last year. And then Shellstad was hurt last year, so there are some questions around that. He also hadn't been playing amazing in Big Ten play before that. Um, but I still like the pickup. I wanted IU to get him. IU was involved, did not go all the way through with him. So Shellstad's an interesting recruit. He's obviously not going to be Michael Brown, but I think he could be on a similar level to some of other Louisville's other guards that they had. Um, and then finally, what would a Blackwell commit look like? Blackwell was amazing at Wisconsin last year. Wisconsin pulled off some of the biggest wins all year. And Blackwell and Nick Boyd, too, have to give Nick Boyd credit. They were both involved in they brought a certain energy to Wisconsin. And Wisconsin wasn't even necessarily a highly touted team in the preseason. I wasn't super high on them. I kind of thought they just had two or three guys. But Blackwell and Boyd completely proved me wrong. Blackwell is probably top three guy in the portal for me. And yeah, I mean, he is going to add a lot. But Louisville would have already spent almost 13 million on their roster already. So I don't know what the other guys around him are going to be. And that is a serious question because depth matters. 100% it matters, especially with Louisville, who has dealt with injuries in the past. It's going to be very interesting to see how this Blackwell process follows through. Next up, we have somebody who is going to their fifth school in 5 years, and that would be PJ Haggerty started off at TCU, then went to Tulsa, then to Memphis, then to Kansas State, and now he's committed to Texas A&M. And this commit is very interesting to me. I did not expect no disrespect to him, I did not expect a super prestigious program to pursue him because historically he has not been exactly a winner. He was on a losing Memphis team, kind of. I mean, Memphis was okay, but they didn't really have any tournament success. Kansas State was a complete flop. He is a scorer, and he will score first. He is probably going to lead Texas A&M in points, and he's probably going to be one of the top scorers in the entire country with how Buckyball is. It is definitely an interesting fit. I think it makes sense. Again, not to disrespect, but Buckyball's kind of seen as gimmicky. I think he proved it wasn't gimmicky in the SEC this past year, but it's still kind of like okay, it's kind of a weird thing. I think it actually fits PJ Haggerty pretty well. Now, for Texas A&M team success, as I said, I don't know how much I like it. Um, but PJ Haggerty is going to get you buckets. He's going to be able to run up and down the court, and he's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on teams in that system. So I do actually like the pickup overall for Texas A&M. They probably had to spend a ton of money on him, which I don't love, but I'm not going to complain about it. If I were a Texas A&M fan, I am happy, fairly happy. I think he's a very good player, and it's going to be different from Buzz Williams and Wade Taylor. Um, Buzz Williams played a completely different style than Bucky, but I think it's going to be kind of a similar thing, um, where it's going to be one guy who's completely dominating and doing everything, and we'll see how it works out. I don't know how Texas A&M fans feel about it, but personally, I think it's a decent fit for a power conference team that he's going to go to. Way better than Kansas State. I think it's a decent fit, and I do like what PJ Haggerty could bring to Texas A&M. Lastly, we are going to talk about the possibility of the NCAA tournament expanding to 76 teams. Now I'm going to pop up a Yahoo Sports tweet that says the NCAA is expected to finalize an expansion of the men's and women's tournaments to 76 teams soon after the completion of this year's March Madness tournament, per Yahoo Sports. Barring something unforeseen, it's going to happen. And obviously, I am completely against NCAA tournament expansion for a variety of reasons. Obviously, quality of play is and quality of teams getting in is definitely the main reason. I'm not going to get too deep into it. That's not necessarily what this video is about. I just want to highlight what it would kind of look like. So, obviously last year, our first four out, Auburn and Oklahoma. Indiana and San Diego State. Um, those four would be in. Those four would be locks. And Cal, Stanford, maybe in New Mexico. Some other teams would also be fairly safely in the tournament. It is going to be very weird. And I think 76 teams there's always going to be a bubble, quote unquote bubble, but it's not going to feel the same leading up to the NCAA tournament now with only 68 teams getting in. The bubble lead up is not going to feel the same, and that sucks. But looking at what a expanded tournament field will do, we don't have the details yet. I made a short on this, but in my perfect world, it gives automatic bids to mid-major teams who did not win their conference tournaments. My idea would be four. NCAA would never do that, so maybe a compromise at like two. I think the two highest mid-major teams this year were in the net were Yale and Belmont. Could be wrong. Tulsa. Tulsa could also be in there. So kind of like those three would also be there. We could also give a spot to Wichita State or Stephen F. Austin or Liberty. Some of those teams also. The reality is that these teams just don't have a way into the tournament basically outside of being perfect in their conference tournament. And I would make the argument that we need spots for that. But it's not going to happen, I don't think. I think it's just going to be the eight best teams. So maybe we see a Dayton get in last year or something, maybe. But if VCU lost, the tournament committee said they were going to be out of the tournament. So if VCU lost, they would have been in the tournament. If VCU lost, that would have been really bad for us fans because then VCU would have been used as an argument for tournament expansion, and we obviously just don't want that at all. Um, so what would a 76-team field look like? Well, there's actually a bracketology done on it, and it's pretty interesting. It's not going to ruin the tournament. I know people are going to complain. I'm going to complain. I'm going to be completely against it, but it's not going to ruin the tournament, assuming power conference teams are not put in 13, 14 seed range. So this was just a short video updating some transfer portal news and some March Madness expansion talks. Obviously, I'm going to have more videos in the future as more crazy stuff happens because the portal is complete chaos already. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. What do you agree with me on? What do you disagree with me on? I want to know. I want to engage in discussion with all of you guys. Please engage in discussion with me in the comments below. With that being said, I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you.